up, guys? Thanks for checking out another video. Thanks for checking out my old videos. Pretty cool. I woke up the other morning and I checked to see, how it was doing, and I had over 100 subscribers. I think when I made my last video, I had like 15 subscribers, so it felt pretty cool. So thanks for that. Thanks for following along and checking out all my old junk and my tips and tricks, because it's just kind of fun for me. So I haven't made another video in a little while just because maybe I'm lazy. Maybe I was a little shy. I was a little unsure if it was gonna work or not, or I don't even know if it's still gonna work or whatever. And just trying to figure out, hey, what can I make a video on to share with you guys? It's worth watching. So I feel like this is worth it. I got a new car. It's a 1970 911E. I picked it up out of Pennsylvania. Oh, and also in the title of this video, it's going to say oil change hack. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but I figured I would go over my car real quick with you guys. I just picked it up out of Pennsylvania. A friend of mine, Travis, was buying a motorcycle off an older guy. It was an old panhead he was buying. And my new friend Travis, actually, because Travis, I didn't know. Travis hit my friend Brent up, and Brent, he was like, hey, are you interested in this 911? He's got it in the back of this garage, in the back of this big warehouse. And Brent was like, I'm not a 911 guy, but I got a friend, Joe, who's me, and he said Joe might be interested in it. So he gave me my phone number, and Travis hit me up, and he said, hey, man, what's up? There's this car here. Are you interested in it? So he gave me the old man's phone number. We went back and forth for a little bit, just asking a million questions. Well, not a million, as many as I could to an old timer. He's like 70, and he's had about enough, I would say, of my questions. Travis was like, hey, listen, this guy's pretty short when it comes to, getting a bunch of questions, so don't push him too much. And I was like, I was trying not to be annoying, but also I'm making a big trip. It's about 6 or 7 hours for me to get there, and then probably 10 or 11 to get back home, plus checking the car out and everything. So me and my girl woke up in the morning, and we went out there to look at the car, and we ended up buying it. And it was I had to pay up for it. I'll just say that. It was an expensive purchase, but I had to have it. It was too nice of a car just to let sit there for any longer. The previous owner, he bought it in 1986 from a guy that really loved the car. He rebuilt the entire motor, and he did like an RS spec motor to it. So I haven't really opened it up, because why would I? But I'm trying to get the paperwork from the previous owner still on the build sheet and everything, because he's still looking for the paperwork. But I believe it's got some cams. It definitely sounds like it's got cams, possibly some bigger pistons. I gotta look down in there with a borescope and just see, if the domes on the pistons are any different than the stock pistons would be. But it definitely rips. It's a quick little car. Just getting on the highway and stuff like that is really fun. So I love a car that can get out of its own way. So this is definitely one of those. So far, it had things that I've changed are the deck lid. It had a ducktail deck lid on it, and I felt like it didn't really fit the car. I lowered the front like a tad. It had like maybe 6 inches of wheel gap. I'm gonna raise it up just a hair so it doesn't have so much rake in the front. It had some sugar scoop headlights on it, which they call Sad Frog, and now I put the H1s on there. A little bit too early for the car, as H1s are from like the 60s. But I really like that cat eye style, and I think it'll pass. The old timers will give me a pass on that, because they're just too cool of a headlight. Raised Bosch lettering on the lenses. It's really cool. So I grabbed those. It had like a front splitter on the front of the car, like a black front splitter with some fog lights on it. It looked kind of like real 90s, kind of ugly. Definitely wouldn't pass for me. So I pulled all that stuff off. It's got holes for like the fog lights, where you could put some fog lights. But I feel like, the fog lights are expensive, like $300 or $400. They don't really work that great, and in my opinion, I feel like it's not that clean, So I'm not gonna put the fog lights in. I'm just gonna get the blanks and put the blanks on there to cover up the holes with the little gaskets and everything, and I think that'll look good. Also, I put an M&K muffler on it that was actually for my red 911 that I bought. It's a 2-in, 1-out muffler, M&K, because it's got SSI heat exchangers on it, but it had a stock muffler on there. And I think that the guy that I got it from, when he bought it, the previous owner may have put the stock muffler on it so that the guy that I got it from, he could pass inspection. Because everything else on the motor was brand new except for that muffler. So I had to switch it up, and I'm gonna have to buy another one for the red car because it sounds too good. I can't take it back off now, because I just wanted to give it a little sample to see what she sounded like, and see what it sounds like, a little opened up, see what she goes, and sounds great. It's running really good. When I bought, again, the previous owner's a Harley guy, so he knew how to put a carbureted motor into hibernation. So he set everything up, you know, the fuel stabilizer, he drained the tank, the carbs. I mean, I literally put fuel in it, and you know, I did a couple of hand cycles. He said the previous owner said that he would start it up, you know, once a year, kind of move it around or whatever. But when I got there, he goes, it doesn't run. It needs a new battery. It needs this. It needs that. It's leaking fuel. And I was like, if it's leaking fuel, then I don't want to start it and have the thing burned down. He didn't want me to start it in his warehouse either, so I kind of bought it kind of like, I made sure it turned over and it had compression, but he wouldn't let me start it. So I was like, I understand. It was really stressful, you know. I was like, to buy a car for the amount of money that I spent and not actually hear it run was really stressful, but I'm pretty confident in my skills knowing that I'd be able to make it run. So, and the guy seemed like such like an honest, straight shooting old timer, and he was just like quick. He would give me the absolute honest, full information that he could. So I feel like he wasn't like a scammer, and Travis told me, hey, this guy's a stand-up guy, so I felt like I could trust him. So I ended up buying the car. I brought it home. I, you know, put some fuel in it, turned it over, and it fired right up. I just let it run for a little bit and see what it did. And it was, I couldn't figure out where it was leaking from. It was actually leaking from the fuel pump. It, you know, the lines go in, and then it's got the inline and the outline, and it was actually leaking on the inside of the pump. It was leaking fuel into the electric side where it's supposed to be sealed off and then coming back out. But it looked like it was leaking out of the hoses, so I put new hoses on it, and I'm like, okay, it should be good. I got in the lift, it wasn't leaking, but when you were wide open throttle, it would push more fuel in, I guess, or whatever. I don't know what it was doing, but it was leaking fuel into the electric side. So I'm really lucky that for some reason it didn't spark on the electric side, or maybe it wasn't able to combust because there was, I don't know, but it was complete. Because I pulled the fuel pump apart, and I was just like, what's going on with this? And it had like some kind of like rivet, kind of like crushed style electrical side, so I undid the crushed fittings and pulled it apart. When I pulled it apart, because at this point I was like, this fuel pump's no good, I gotta figure out, I want to see if I could maybe fix it or whatever. So I pulled it apart, and it was literally like filled with fuel. I couldn't believe that it didn't catch on fire. I'm so lucky. So that was pretty cool. I bought a new fuel pump, and the thing's just been running. I drive it, so I've already put like 1,000 miles on it, and I don't know if I said this or not, but the previous owner, he owned it from 1986. He stopped running it in 1992, so it's been sitting since 92, and he just kind of would move it back and forth. It's got a 92 inspection sticker on it. I looked at the title. He only put a little bit less than 4,000 miles on this car, so it was kind of crazy. He told me, he's like, hey, listen, Joe, I don't know, I did a clutch on it, and it's like grinding when you put it in, when you push the clutch in, it makes some crazy sounds. I'm like, maybe this guy adjusted the clutch cable too tight and it's pushing too much on the pressure plate. And I was like, when I was there, I'm like, man, this is a sketchy buy, because I'm not hearing the car run. I'm turning it over, and there's some transmission issues. This is a sketchy buy. I couldn't show too much concern because I had my girl with me, and if I told her that I was stressed, it would have been a no-go. So I had to keep it smooth sailing and just, you know, use my words and ask the guy and see how much information I could get out of him, and just go from there. But in my head, I'm like, okay, this guy didn't adjust the clutch cable well enough. So after I got it running, it literally took me like 2 hours to get the thing running. I moved it up and down the driveway a couple of times, and it was just literally, I just needed to adjust the clutch cable, and that's it. So it's got a brand new clutch in it. So it's pretty cool to have it just start up and go first day. It was definitely, you could tell it was well taken care of. Previous owner, again, he had one of those label makers, you know, and he would write like, you know, the timing order. This is the on, a fuel pump on, because he put like a fuel pump switch in it, so it was like fuel pump on and off. And then, you know, just like a bunch of other funky labels on the engine bay. I pulled them all off because I already know all the labels anyways. But it was just kind of cool that, you know, back in the day they didn't have the internet. You know, when this guy was working on this thing, you couldn't just Google it. So he was like, okay, I don't want to forget the firing order. I'm going to make a little label for it. So it's pretty cool. So, you know, it's just cool that, you know, it was well taken care of, and there's no rot or rust on this car, and that's really the reason why I bought it, because a 1970 shell with no rot or rust is just so hard to find now, because they didn't galvanize them in 1970. I think they started galvanizing them. I could be wrong. I might get beat up over here in the old comment section if you guys do comment. I think they started galvanizing them in Europe in 1980, and then in 81, I guess, is when we started galvanizing them. I think, if I've read this correctly in the old books, my old books. But I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've, for some reason, looked up when they galvanized these cars. So yeah, new deck lid, no front splitter, new headlights. I want to get some new seats. It's got some Recaros in there. I want to just get some factory seats. It's got a really nice set of like 80s, 90s Recaros that are like brand new out of the box. It even came with a little brochure as well for the Recaros in the glove box. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, I just been running it. I'm gonna polish up the rear quarter glass so they're not black. I'm gonna get the chrome trim around the head, the tail lights and the blinkers, and just drive it. I'm gonna get some new tires for it. She's got some old boys on there. I want to get some like Michelin's or Pirelli's vintage style looking tires. So if any of you guys are old timer like 911 guys that are watching this video, and you got a tire that you prefer that's like a classic style tire, let me know. Because I need to buy some tires. They're good tread and everything, but they're just old. The date stamps on them, they don't have weather cracks, but the date stamps on them they're pretty old. So I just don't feel comfortable running them. But other than that, the thing has just been a joy to drive. I've just been ripping it to work. You know, every once in a while I go to every car show I can think of with it, and just taking the girl out to dinner is like, you know, my favorite times to go cruising in this thing. Because how jealous are you when you're at work, or, you know, at least I do. I get a little like, dang, I wish that was me. When you see a guy out in his classic with his girl, you know, just going for a cruise, I'm like, man, that dude's living the life, you know. So when I'm doing it with my girl, it just, yeah, I just love it, you know. I love that she likes doing it as well. But anyways, the title of the video is like whatever, 19, I don't know how I'm going to title it, but I'm going to put oil change hack in here. Liquid Moly is my oil of choice for these cars. Usually I go with Motul, but my hack, I guess, that I found, if you want to call it a hack, I'm going to call it a hack. I found there's this company, FCP Euro, out of Connecticut, and I'm not sponsored by them at all. They're not paying me for this. They don't even know that I'm doing this, but I wanted to share this with you because it's cool content and a little pro tip for you guys with any car. Especially with these cars, because they're so expensive to do oil on it. It usually costs like $150 to $200 to do an oil change on this, because they take between 10 and 13 quarts of oil depending on your size oil cooler. Because if you guys don't know, it's got a dry sump motor in it, so they call it an oil bag. In the rear quarter on the other side, it's got this big like can that holds the oil, and then there's oil tubes that go up over the wheel, and there's an oil cooler in the front of the car. So they're like maybe I think they're 1-inch hoses or whatever, 1-inch steel lines that go all the way to the front. So all that's filled with oil for the oil cooler that goes to the oil bag and into the motor and back out. So it's a lot of oil circulation. So you need a lot of oil, so it's pretty expensive to do oil change. So I bought 3 of these, 5, so 15 quarts of oil from FCP Euro. And I had heard a friend of mine told me that he has a friend that does this, and I was like, I'm gonna look into that. And then I heard another guy say, hey, a friend of mine does this, this free oil change. Like, that's weird. I never heard about a free oil change, but I'm gonna check it out. So you go on FCP Euro, you pick up any oil you want, your year, make, and model, you sign up for this program. And so I did. I went 1970 911E, and I'm gonna use this oil for all my 911s, 2050 Liquid Moly. You can go on the forums and just ask, hey, what type of oil does my car take? What's the best oil for my car? And you can spend the entire day on the forums trying to figure out what's the best oil for your car, and you're gonna get off the forums and you're gonna be more confused than when you started. So the best way to figure out what type of oil you should run in your car is ask somebody that's an old timer that's pushed these cars to the limit. And my person of choice when I ask like these technical questions is Chris Musanti at Musanti Motorsports in Connecticut. He holds a lot of track records. He pushes these motors to the absolute limit. He's a huge 911 guy. Whenever I call him and I got a technical question, he knows it off the top of his head. So that's my guy. And when I ask him, when I'm a little confused, I say, hey, Chris, what do you think I should run for oil? He says Motul or Liquid Moly. Those are my preferred oils. And he goes, use that information how you want, but he goes, that's what I run and that's what I like. So I said, Chris, if that's what you run, that's what I'm running. So I got Liquid Moly. They had Motul, and I've always ran Motul in my red car, but it would have taken a few more days to get the Motul, so I went with Liquid Moly. So what you do is you get the oil from them, you sign up for this program. I think you have to buy the oil twice, so I bought it, and then the next time I have to buy it again, and then I'm enrolled into this program. At least this is how I've understood it. So the second time, I'm gonna return my old oil from the oil change that I just did, and then I'm gonna put the old oil back into here, 15 quarts of oil, and then I'm gonna go return it, and they're I'm gonna have to pay again, but they're gonna give me new oil, and then after that, it's just return your 15 quarts, get 15 quarts for free. I don't know why I have to buy it twice, or maybe I just misunderstood the guy over the phone. Maybe I'm already enrolled in this program, but the next time I do it, I'm gonna bring it back, 15 quarts, and they're gonna give me this exact weight and brand of oil. From my understanding, I haven't asked to see if maybe I could change brands or change weights, because I haven't gone that far into it yet. So I guess I'm maybe prematurely telling you guys this information, but I just wanted to put it out there to see if anybody else has done this and see if there's any pros and cons to doing something like this. I was told that so say you've got 5 quarts, so I'm doing 15 quarts. My car only takes 13 quarts when it's bone dry, the white car, the red car, bone dry, 13 to 14 quarts of oil. So I'm gonna do an oil change, and if I return only 14 quarts of oil, I think I'm gonna get charged for that extra 15th quart because, well, for whatever reason, I think you're not returning the full amount, I guess. So there's that. So I mean, I'll still get 14 quarts for free. I'll have to get charged for 1 quart, which is whatever, $10 right now, depending on whatever the fuel or oil crisis crap we got going on. But there's that, and that's my little hack for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you guys have done this or have any information on it, because I'm really curious. I'm excited to try it, and there's that. So hopefully you guys like the video, you like my new car, and you like my little hack here. And if you haven't tried it, give them a call. Give FCP Euro a call. It's free shipping too. I think on orders over 75 bucks. So check their website out. It's pretty cool. I always just grab like a couple bits off of there. It's not my go-to for German stuff, but I've ordered a ton of stuff from them because it's usually 1-day shipping because they're so close to me, which is great. So I think if you're not close, say you live in California, I think you'd have to pay for shipping to ship it back, which is whatever, a couple of bucks, but you're still getting, you know, $200 oil change for a couple of bucks just for shipping, and I think they're going to ship it back out to you for free, which is pretty cool. So a little tip, I hope it works for me. I hope it works for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and again, thanks for subscribing. That was really cool. And subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, it's all good. But thanks, guys. See you next video.